Today, on Be Something Wonderful, how to know for sure that you have shifted identities and realities. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, welcome back. Good morning. Big video today. And this client that I had a session with me said, Tom, I really wanted to talk about initially a specific person. And he goes, but that's changed since this morning's video. This was a video I released yesterday morning. It was big on shifting realities. That's what he wanted to talk about. He figured if he could get these ideas down, then his specific person and everything else he wants will fall in place in his life. So I want to talk about this because his question really centered around fear. Fear of failure. Fear of not getting what he wants. Right? And we had talked about that. And remember, what I said to him, failure can only exist in the past. And you create that right now in the present moment. Hear this, right? You create your present, past, and future identity right now in the present moment. You create it all. So that identity that fails or doesn't get what they want can't exist unless you create it right now. It's not possible. I want to really hit this today. He goes, I understand that logically, but I have persistent fear of failure, not creating what I want, not shifting to my desired reality, right? Remember, your source energy. You are all that is. Failure is impossible. I am not is not a reality. So if there is a you that failed, that's a past you, and that can only exist if you create that past identity now from your current perspective, from your current viewpoint. Because it doesn't exist without you. Do you see it? You can't feel at, this is what Bashar says. I love this. You can't feel at being you. It is the one thing you can't help but be. You can't feel at being you, and you wouldn't decide or create that you're a failure. So failure can't exist. Failure doesn't make sense. That would be like there's some outside source or another power that can get in and create for you, that can get in and tell you who you are. That's why Jesus asked the question, who do you say I am? You decide that. From this present moment, from this present identity, you decide your current lifeline. You just decide who that is, because that present you, who you're deciding you are right now, creates that past you, that in linear time, in the logical thought of linear time, led up to the present you. That leads to the future you. In linear time, but you create all of that now. I'm going to hit this today. Remember, you came in this 3D physical reality, forgetting that you're infinite, forgetting that you're all that is, to have the experience of remembering who you really are by being more aware of all that you are, by being more aware of all that is, which means being more aware that all you are, because you are all that is. You're one with that. That's why you came. So let's hit this today. And remember, I've showed this before. There you are. You're multidimensional. You are all that is. You're a multidimensional being shifting through infinite realities or parallel realities. Right? Infinite identities or parallel realities. Billions of times per second you're moving through these frames, right? Each is an independent stream of consciousness that is you. Because I think one of you asked the question, what happens to the old me or the other one that I left? Remember, you're all of it. It's not that you ever leave that version of you, who you are right now. It's just you're changing your focus. And so you're including more of all that is, more of who you are. You still have that other you, but you're now seeing more of who you are. That's what expanding means. That's what expanding and rising in consciousness means. It doesn't mean you lose that other one. You don't merge with them. You don't merge with that new state of consciousness. You are it. You're all of it. You never lose any of it. You're just shifting your focus to more of who you are. Do you see it? So that's what it's about. It's not like you leave that old you behind. It's right there, but you're focused now. You're expanding your focus and understanding that you're more than this present identity. And you move to this other identity that includes the old one, but includes you now being more aware of all that you are. That's big today. The more you're aware of those identities or those realities, the more you are aware of all that is and all that you are. Right? That's what it means to expand consciousness, to become more aware that you're everything already. Right? That current identity is focused in and seeing through that current version of you. But as you shift, say to this one or this one or this one, you're now just seeing more of who you are. You never leave that old one behind. They don't merge. You are those. You already are all those. So you're seeing more of who you are. Right now, you create who you are, you create who you were, and you create who you will be. You are all identities right now. We're going to show this today. But right? So when you move to any of those identities, each lifeline, each identity has a unique past and a unique future, right? Based in a linear fashion, so you can have that linear physical experience. So when you move to a new identity, it's a new past, a new future, a new you. But you never lose any of it. You're just expanding your awareness. You're knowing more of who you are. You're knowing more of all that is. You're rising in consciousness. That's why we're here, right? That's why the whole idea and why I bring up this Chris Calvin in the movie Solaris that I've recommended to watch. When he's remembering his wife that died by suicide. He's saying, I remembered her wrong, and somehow I was wrong about everything. In other words, he remembered all of those experiences in 3D reality. All of those ideas are just experiences, just ideas. He forgot that he's eternal. He forgot who he really is, who she really is. Whatever the 3D physical experience, including manifestations of the mind, of thoughts and feelings. Because remember, the mind is just a manifestation. And the thoughts and feelings within that mind are just a manifestation. They're all manifestations. When you identify with it as who you are and others, who you believe them to be, you're remembering it wrong. Do you see it? Because you're only ever seeing less than 1% of actually what's going on. That's the whole idea of being more aware of all that you are. You see it? So he remembered it wrong because he's only seeing 0.00001% of what was really going on. Seeing and perceiving less than 0.0001% of all that you are. And with partial perception and incomplete seeing, you declare you have failed, or you're limited, or you're unloved, or you're not deserving, or you're incomplete, or you're in need of fixing and healing. And you see the outside world, the people, events, and circumstances the same way. Do you see it? You can't help but judge when you're only seeing that, when you have that narrow perception, that narrow sliver of reality. You just judge it as incomplete. You judge it as something's wrong. You judge it that you're not loved, that you're not deserving, that you're not a priority, that you are incomplete, that you need fixing, you need healing. Right? When none of that's true, you're just not seeing the complete, you're not seeing all of that you are, all that you are in every moment. Right? And you're not seeing others all that they are. That's what Chris meant here in the movie Solaris. I remembered her wrong. Somehow I was wrong about everything. I was seeing everything as incomplete, as a failure, as limited, as not the actual reality. Wow, that's big. Whew. Boy, that's big. So while all those infinite experiences expand consciousness, so while you go through and experience all these different infinite experiences as consciousness, as awareness, as infinity, as all that you are, judging any of them as a failure or suffering makes no sense, is from lack of awareness of your true nature. Remember, what is suffering? It's desiring reality reality to be different than it is. The current moment to be different than it is. That's when we suffer. Do you see it? That's what suffering is. Desiring things to be different than they are right now. That's suffering, and judging any of it as a failure, any of your experiences in 3D as a failure, is from lack of awareness of your true nature, who you really are. Remember, it's a decision, it's a choice that you make. What do you want? Jesus asked that question. Your I am is asking you. What do you want? Remember Jesus to the blind beggar, Bartimaeus. Remember, blind being spiritually blind. Blind being you're only seeing less than 1% of reality. Blind being that you have incomplete seeing of what's really going on, that you're judging things as good or bad, unworthy or undeserving or a failure, right? You're judging all that. Jesus asked the beggar, what do you want me to do for you? Your I am's asking you, who do you say I am? And then Bartimaeus answers, I want to regain my sight. In other words, I want to see more of all that I am and all that reality is and all that others are. I want to see, I want to have complete perception. I want to see the truth of who I am. I want to see the truth of reality, right? You are not here as a soul or a spirit to suffer. We're not here to learn lessons. We're not here to suffer. That's a 3D story. That's made up, right? That's made up by that 3D mind. We're not here to suffer. We're here to experience reality in infinite forms, in infinite ways. And then what? How? To know ourselves experientially, to know who we are experientially, not to learn lessons, to know more of who we are. This is what Seth through Jane Roberts says, suffering is not good for the soul unless it teaches you how to not suffer or how to stop suffering. I love that. So suffering could never be that. Lessons could never be the reason we're here. We're here to know, to declare our next best version of ourselves, as Neil Donald Walsh in Conversations with God says. Right? That's why we're here. We're not here to suffer. We're here to know more of who we are experientially, as source, as a soul. Right? Not to suffer as a soul. Right? That's impossible. So, and then Rhea, his wife, who died by suicide, right, reappears, of course, in the movie. You guys got to see the movie, right? But Chris to Rhea, when he sees her, this is towards the end of the movie. I don't want to ruin it for you. But he says, am I dead or alive? And she says to him, we don't have to think like that anymore. I always get a chill on that. You don't have to think like that anymore, right? You're beyond that. You're an infinite being. You never cease to exist. Non-existence is impossible because the definition of existence is always exists. So how can something be non-existent? It doesn't even make sense. That's big. That's why all of these questions, am I a failure or not? Am I in the new identity or not? Am I occupying the new reality or not? Am I wish fulfilled or not? Am I healed or not? Am I worthy or not? Am I thinking the right thoughts? Am I not? Am I deserving or not? Am I impressing the subconscious or not? None of those make sense because all realities, all beingness, all creation comes from you in this present moment. All of it, all that power streams from you in the present moment. Asking any of those questions implies that you're none of it. And that there's some outside power, outside source that determines it. You determine all of this. I am source and there is no other. I am God and there is no other. Therefore, there is no other cause. There's no other power. There's no other source of your life experience on every plane of existence. Not just the 3D experience, but on every plane. Your cause, your source. So asking these questions makes no sense. That just creates a reality where failure is possible, where you're not in the new identity, where you're not occupying the new reality, where you're not in your wish fulfilled, where you need to be healed, where you're not worthy, where you're not thinking good thoughts or feeling good thoughts, where you need to impress the subconscious. You create all that from the present moment. So you are here to remember you are infinite and changeless. That I am, by experiencing, by seeing, by perceiving, by being infinite changes, by being those changes, by being those identities and realities. You're the changeless to experience those infinite changes, right? Those infinite realities. In the isness of creation that never changes, the structure of creation, the isness of God never changes. All that potential slides, all the potential of who you could be is always there in potential. An infinite number, and that never changes. What changes is your experience of that structure of reality, that isness of reality. And you can have infinite experiences. It's always growing and it's always expanding. That's what infinity is. It's done, creation's finished, but it's always expanding. So you can experience it in an infinite number of ways. You're never done. That's why Abraham Hicks that spiritual teacher says you can't get it done, right? You can't get it wrong and you can't get it done. So you can't fail and you can't get it done. I love that, right? Remember, what changes is your experience, your viewpoint and perception of reality. And that's what expands creation. That's what expands consciousness. That's what expands infinity and all that is, to know itself experientially in an infinite number of forms, through every one of you, for every 1 billion of points of consciousness. Every one, right? Remember, whenever you are thinking or remembering, right? Because that's all that is. Remember, you're just remembering. Creation's finished. You're remembering either a past, a past present, or a past future. Some lifeline, some film role that's strung together by you, right? You have filled. So whenever you're thinking you have filled, haven't shifted, haven't manifested what you want, you're creating that reality right now. When you say that, when you ask that, when you feel that, you're creating it out right now. That new identity of having filled, or haven't manifested, or haven't shifted, creates the past failure. Creates the identity of you that hasn't shifted. Creates the identity of you that hasn't manifested anything right now from this present moment, not the other way around. The present moment, your identity creates the past and the future you. Do you see it? That's why those questions don't make any sense. That's why I try to nudge you away from them. Stand in that new identity. You determine that. But when you ask those questions, you create that version of you right now. That past person that failed, that past person hasn't shifted, that past person hasn't manifested. Right now you create that. That present moment you decided, oh, that's big. That's big. Remember, there is no time. Linear time's an experience. As Bashar says, it's a side effect, right? So the idea that the past creates the present is an experience of reality. Right? That's a linear experience that you have. You're going to swear that the past creates the present. You're going to say, Tom, look at these scars. All of us, right? Look at not only physical scars, but emotional scars, all that drama and trauma. You're going to say it, but it's not reality. Rather, your present creates your past. Everything gets created by this now moment. There's only now. There's only here and now where you exist. I am and will always exist. Your past, present, and future can only be created here and now. You can only create from the now moment. There's no other moment to create from. That means if you only can create from the now moment, that means the past and the future are created by you in the now moment. Everything, all that is, all at once, right now. So who do you say I am? Matthew 16:15. That's why that's an important question. When you choose who and what you are in this present moment and in every moment, because remember, your beliefs and assumptions and who you believe you are is shifting in every moment. Your consciousness is shifting at a lightning speed, right? Billions of times a second, right? That experience of reality, that experience of I am, with your assumptions and beliefs, your self-concept. You choose that right now and in every moment, with your assumptions, with your beliefs, with your self-concept, with what you are imagining, right? With your imaginal acts, with your scripting, with your affirming. You're determining who you are right now. You are a new identity and in a new parallel reality right now. And this new parallel reality has a new past in a linear sense that determines the experience of how you became this new identity. Do you see it? To make it make sense in a linear way or logically, that new identity that you create right now comes with a past that you also create. That past now makes sense from the perspective or vantage point of that present you. Do you see it? But if you say, well, no, the past hasn't changed, I know that. How do you know? Because from that present you, from that new perspective, you wouldn't know. You're only going to see the past that's attached or that belongs to that new you and that new identity. Do you get it? But that's the paradox. It's the present identity that created it. So you wouldn't even know because it's going to seem natural to you. Right? That's powerful. But Tom, I remember the past and it hasn't changed. I know, you're going to say that. Right? But Bashar talks about this brilliantly. But how would you know whether it changed or not? You're in that present perspective. From that present perspective, that's your past. It's the only past there is from that present point of view. But it didn't exist there before that present identity that you just created. That's powerful. Because when you become a new identity and create a new past, it's going to seem, I'm just paraphrasing Bashar. Because when you become a new identity and create a new past, it's going to seem from your present identity that you always had that past. Because that's the only past that makes sense in a linear way for the new identity that you are now. Do you get, I'm just going to pause there. Do you get the magnitude of what we're talking about here? This new identity that you're creating, and you're creating in every moment, always comes with a different past and a different future. And so you might say, well, I'm looking and I keep remembering the same past. It's not the same past because you're a new identity. So every new identity, it's a different past, but it seems like it hasn't changed from that new identity, from that perspective of the new identity, because that is your past, from that new identity, from that standpoint. So powerful. That's why looking out there or in the past to see if things have changed makes no sense. Your present identity is the change. And that's all you will see. History in the past is always changing. That's why Course in Miracles said there wouldn't even be history if you didn't keep making the same mistake. Right? History wouldn't exist if you didn't keep making the same mistake. Right? You're remembering it wrong. You get to determine who you are in a complete, absolute sense right now. You get to determine your past and future and who you are right now. So powerful. Remember, I know you're going to say, well, Tom, I remember the past. It hasn't changed. How would you know? Because that present identity comes with a specific past. And you're saying it from that vantage point of that new identity. Whoever that is in this now moment. Whatever great or small or great the change is in that identity, it has a new past and a new future. Whew, this is big today, I told you. So remember, so here you are, that's the eternal you. And imagine that there's infinite versions that go out for infinity. Right? The eternal you is here, that violet you, that's the eternal you with all of these potential realities, all these multidimensional possibilities and potential that you can be. And as you, remember, and as you move into these identities, do you see it? Each of these identities comes with a new past and a new future. I just made this black and solid, but it's a past that relates to this guy, a past that relates to this guy, a future that relates to this guy, a future that relates to this one, a future that relates to this one. But each of these paths, these are different. These are according to that blue and that green and that orange, right? But I wanted to show you that. All of these, right? So when you say from this new identity that you moved into, well, the past hasn't changed. How would you know? You don't know. That's the only past that you associate with that new identity. That's what we're talking about. That's the power we're talking about. Infinite probable realities. You are multidimensional. All happening now. So failure is impossible in the present moment. You can only create it. And why would you? Why would you create a version of you that failed? There's no lessons to learn. There's nothing there to get. There's nothing good about that. It's not about that. You don't have to fail to learn. You know all things already. You're multidimensional. All these realities are available to you. That's the story. That's the linear story we make up, right? In 3D reality. Therefore, the fear of failure or anything makes no sense. Because failure, because it could only exist, failure, if it existed at all, which it doesn't in the past. In that past, your present is always changing moment to moment, depending on who you choose to be right now. I know in the linear time, we make up those stories. Yeah, if I didn't have all those failures, I wouldn't be who I would be now. No, you get to determine who you're going to be right now. You create that history of failures. or whatever past you create from that present moment. It doesn't exist without you deciding, right? That's what it means I remembered it wrong. A memory, an image of the past is recreated in the present from who you decide you are right now. So it's okay if you believe those past failures, that's a good story and that created you. You're creating that right now from the present moment. But you can have it all right now. You don't have to have fear of anything. Whether it's failure or marriage or being single and not having a baby or not having money, any of it, none of that fear makes sense. Because you create it all right now. You create the past and the future and the present you, right? You break the illusion of continuity, of past, present, and future timeline realities by remembering in this moment and now who you would like to be. And the past and the future changes and rearranges itself around that new identity. That's powerful. So I want to show that one more time. Let's see if I can get this over here. Do you see it? In this present moment, in that eternal now, you break the illusion of continuity, past, present, future, timelines, realities, by remembering this moment, who you would like to be. And the past and future changes and rearranges itself around that new identity as you pop into that new identity in the present moment. Because remember, on these timelines, the past is the past. The present is the past present. The future is the past future. Do you see it? It's all past. Creation's finished. All those potentials exist. The true present moment is eternal. It's now, and that's what you move in. That's where you create from. Only this moment, only this vertical is where you create from. All those other things are created as part of that eternal now moment. So you even create the past present right now, and the past future and the past as you decide who you're going to be. That comes with a past present. It comes with a past and a past future. Wow, that's powerful. Well, so how do you know for sure? You decide it. You're all of it right now in the present moment. You say and assume, I have moved for sure, and you start looking out at reality, like looking out there through those eyes. And then you are that identity no matter what. That's how it works. That's how to know for sure that you have shifted identities and realities. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, thank you. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for liking and sharing and commenting on the videos. Thank you for being part of our Facebook group, the Be Something Wonderful Ambassadors, at facebook.com/groups/Be Something Wonderful, for joining us on Instagram and Twitter at Tom Kearin, and our membership channel. We just released a powerful video a few days ago, and there's more coming. We have that live stream exclusively to be broadcast on the membership channel later this month, 2 weeks from now, September 24th, 2023, a little less than 2 weeks, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. I'm going to come to you live answering your questions that you're sending to me at info@besomethingwonderful.com. I'm still taking questions. Continue to send them. More to come. This is creatives. This is Tom with Be Something Wonderful in the studios in Las Vegas. Until next time, with great love, with great light and infinite gratitude, we'll see you soon.